What's up, Eagles Nation? As we know, tomorrow is the trade deadline for the NFL. There's already been a few moves. Jimmy Garoppolo going from the Patriots to the 49ers. And the Seahawks got a player that was, in some circles, people thought maybe the Eagles could make a play for the offensive lineman. I believe last name's Brown. Goes from the Houston Texans. And Houston has had over the years a pipeline with the Eagles, so we don't get that former Texan, but he does go to the Seahawks. So the Seahawks strengthening their offensive line, which is something they needed to do. And the Eagles, obviously, you look at the left tackle situation. Vaitai, Big V, of course, is the starter off the injury, season-ending injury to Jason Peters. And there's been a lot of talk in the last 24 hours or so, even heating up with the trade deadline. Would the Eagles make a move? Would they make a move? I know there's, some other names out there, some other possibilities. I believe there's a left tackle in Buffalo who the Eagles got Jason Peters from. That was many years ago. Buffalo may have a left tackle perhaps that the Eagles can make a run at. But we'll see. I don't know if they really are going to make a move or not. Obviously, I think they believe in Vaitai and they're willing to give him a chance. We must not forget that last season when he came in for the suspended Lane Johnson at right tackle, he struggled his first game against the Redskins. Of course, that was the Carson Wentz uniform rip situation against Kerrigan. And really for the rest of the season, I think after that game, Vaitai kind of got his footing and had a solid rest of the season. So, in a way, I don't blame them for giving him a chance if they don't make a move, if they don't make a trade, if they don't think, they want to give up too much to get another left tackle, to add to the team. But, we'll see what they do. Obviously, Howie is a wheeler and dealer, and we know this. And anything that can be done without giving up too much to help the team and strengthen the areas that need to be strengthened, or just add some depth. I wouldn't be surprised. And there has been a lot of injuries, so I wouldn't be surprised if they perhaps make a move. I know one of the other players, former player really, that was discussed recently, I guess because he was seen on a plane on the way to Philly or whatever, was Megatron, Calvin Johnson. Obviously, he's been out of the league for a little over a season now, season and a half. He retired kind of abruptly some years ago off of another really solid year. Is he still in game shape? Is he still, if he came in right now, could he be productive? I would say yeah. I mean, his final season in the league, if I heard right today, it was like an 88 catch, 8 or 9 touchdown season. So, I mean, the guy can play, and the thing about it is, I never would have thought a year ago I'd be saying this about the receiving corps, but we are pretty good at receiver. We have a lot of depth there. The rookie Hollins, has been a really good addition, for this receiving corps, and obviously Nelson Aguilar, what he's done in the slot this season. The additions of Alshon Jeffrey and Torrey Smith have really helped this receiving corps from being one of the worst in the league a year ago to being one of the better receiving corps this season. Now, that being said, it's been a disappointing, in a way, pickup. I mean, Torrey Smith, yes, he does draw the penalties, but he really hasn't made a big contribution other than that. He hasn't had a lot of catches on the season, a lot of big plays. And quite frankly, his best days might be behind him. Now, he still can draw those penalties, which is nice. He did that again this past weekend. And maybe just the threat of his speed opens things up a little bit. But at the same time, would I like to see an upgrade over Torrey Smith? Absolutely. I'm not saying you have to play fantasy football here. And getting those players doesn't always mean, doesn't always guarantee anything. But here's the deal about Calvin Johnson, and personally, I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's just one of those hearsay kind of deals. But if they can make a move, and obviously he's still under contract with the Lions. If they can make a move and this thing becomes reality, and if they don't have to give up too much, I mean, let's face it, if for a future Hall of Famer, all you're doing is giving up a fourth-round pick and maybe, possibly a future pick, whether it's a 4 or 5 or what have you, or a 3 even, or something like that. I mean, I'll ask you, Eagles Nation, would you rather have Torrey Smith or Calvin Johnson right now on the other side of Alshon Jeffrey? The way I look at it, and again, we're just throwing hypotheticals out there because that's all you can do, on the trade deadline type deal, right? Hypothetical. So let's say they do land Calvin Johnson and they get him out of retirement and they make a deal with the Lions and maybe they give up a pick or two to get him, and bring him in. And obviously, look, it's going to take a couple weeks. They have a bye week coming up, so maybe that helps a little bit. Let's say you get Calvin Johnson. So now you have, as your starting 1 and 2 receivers, Calvin Johnson and Alshon Jeffrey. And in the slot you have Nelson Aguilar, of course, and of course Zach Ertz and the tight ends. And you got the running game. Now, here's the thing about Calvin Johnson. We must not forget that some of Alshon Jeffrey's most productive seasons in the league so far, when he was going to the Pro Bowl, was when he had Brandon Marshall on the other side of him. Now, Brandon Marshall is a better receiver than Torrey Smith. With all due respect to Torrey Smith, look, he's been a nice addition as far as being one of those players that's won a Super Bowl, that knows what it takes to win. Is a veteran. Maybe he's helped teach some of these young receivers. He's been a good citizen in Philly so far. Nothing against Torrey Smith, but what I'm saying is Alshon Jeffrey has had some of his most productive seasons when he had Brandon Marshall on the other side of him when they were with the Bears. And if you bring in Calvin Johnson, I'm not saying it's going to be exactly the same as it was in Chicago, but what I'm saying is that might enable Alshon Jeffrey to play that much better. He's had an up and down year. I mean, he has. He hasn't been. I mean, he was much, kind of like ballyhooed when he was brought in. 1 year prove-it deal. And, yeah, I mean, look, he probably should have a couple more touchdowns on the season. He was open a few times, and, Wentz just missed him on a few passes. And there were some passes, let's not forget, earlier in the season when Jeffrey wasn't winning the 50-50 balls. Early in the season. And, he's played a little better since, but the production hasn't quite been there. But you bring Calvin Johnson along, and obviously it takes a few weeks for him to get kind of acclimated into the offense and really gets going, and Calvin Johnson kind of returns to that form. Well, now you got Megatron on one side, and you got Alshon Jeffrey on the other. That is dangerous. I mean, that is a heck of a 1-2 punch right there. And oh, by the way, you have the quarterback that even without Megatron, even without, with Torrey Smith being unproductive for the most part, Alshon Jeffrey kind of being, up and down, he still has 19 touchdown passes. He leads the league. And oh, by the way, Carson Wentz in his second year has matched Dan Marino in his second year for touchdown passes in his career. That's not bad company to be in. I'm not calling Carson Wentz Dan Marino, but what I'm saying is that's a pretty damn good, thing I heard today. That's like, wow, that's pretty impressive. Carson Wentz is already a really good quarterback in this league, but you got to continue to give the guy weapons. And I know that doesn't always mean you're going to win. There's been great receiving tandems in this league. I mean, all I have to do is mention Chris Carter and Randy Moss when they were on the Vikings. Never went to a Super Bowl. We're 0 for 2 in NFC Championship games, including the one at home, of course, in '98 against the Atlanta Falcons, the Dirty Birds. It doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to win, but here's what bringing in Calvin Johnson does, if they do it. And I don't think it's going to happen. I would be shocked if it does. I'd be happy if it does, because I always liked him. His years in Detroit. But here's what it does. To me, it's a win-win. first of all, you got him still under contract for another season, I believe, after this year. So it's not like you're just renting him for 8 games and in the playoffs. So you would have him under contract for another year. And I know he's 30 plus, but he is still productive. And if he still can be productive in this league and have similar numbers that he did in Detroit his last season there, I mean, you got to take that all day. And I would certainly take that over Torrey Smith. And here's the other side of the equation. You might lose Alshon Jeffrey this offseason, you know. And I know that so far it's been kind of mixed results and whatnot. But you got to replace, you know, if you're going to lose someone, you got to replace him. And you can't always just assume you're going to grab a receiver in the draft. So why not take a chance? Why not take a flyer on getting Megatron and having him on the team again next season, getting another full season in this case of Megatron with Carson Wentz, already with a half season under their belt and an off season where they can practice and, you know, get even more of that connection. Why not do it? If all it's going to take is a 4th round pick or a 4th and a future, you know, pick, another 4 or 3, whatever it is, to get Megatron here and to have a weapon, another weapon on this team, on this offense that's already very dangerous on this offense for the rest of this season and next season, all of next season, I would do it. I would do it. And, you know, who knows what the situation is going to be with Alshon Jeffrey after this season. Or you know what? If that brings Alshon Jeffrey back and he has even more production because he has Megatron on the other side of him, hey, you know what? I'll take this receiving core with Jeffrey, Megatron, and Aguilar and a young Hollins. I mean, right now you have one of the more dynamic receiving cores in the league if you have those 4 right there, plus Zach Ertz, you know, one of the top tight ends in the league, and the running game. I would sign up for that. Now, again, I don't want to play fantasy football in real life. You know, that's just, sometimes you ask for trouble when you do that. But honestly, I think it would be a safe move to make. Calvin Johnson isn't a troublemaker. You know, he's not someone that's going to come in here and ruin the locker room. I just think it would be an upgrade over Torrey Smith, and the fact that you would get him not just as a rental, that you wouldn't just get him for the rest of this season, but you would also get him for next season. I don't know exactly what the contract is, how many more years it is. Maybe even Detroit eats some of that money. And again, if all it takes is a 4th round pick and a future pick, I'm doing it. I mean, again, I don't want to play fantasy football in real life, but I'm doing it. I'm making that move. I have a young stud quarterback. If you can continue to get him weapons, that just helps even that much more. And it opens up the offense even that much more. And oh, by the way, if that's what helps Alshon Jeffrey really, you know, bring that full potential here for the rest of the season to have Megatron on the other side, I'm doing it. Because what defense is going to be able to stop this? On paper, at least. If Megatron, you know, gets back in the form and you have Jeffrey playing the way he did those years in Chicago when he had Brandon Marshall on the other side of him, I mean, I'm signing up for it. I'm doing it. I'm going to be bold, and I'm going to make it happen. Because they have something special brewing right now. And they really have a very good young quarterback. And I got to continue to give this guy weapons. Not that it always means everything. But the more weapons you can give, the more chances you're going to have to make plays. This is already a dangerous offense, and I think if they do add Megatron to it, how much more dangerous would it be? And it opens things up even more for some of the other guys, which is scary to think about. As good a season as they've already had. I mean, how awesome would that be? I mean, can you just imagine Wentz throwing it up there for Megatron, coming down on, you know, for touchdowns over Dallas or something? I mean, we would go nuts. Anyhow, that's my take on it. I don't know if it's something that's really a legitimate chance of happening. I mean, you kind of hear it both ways. We're not going to know until tomorrow, and even then, it's like, more than likely, it won't happen. But you never know. That's the beauty of the eve of the trade deadline. Anything's possible. So that's one thing. I've also heard kind of rumors. Someone told me the other day that they may have some interest in Matt Forte. I mean, why not just bring all the former Bears? You know, Alshon Jeffrey, Matt Forte. That one I just left kind of scratching my head because Matt Forte, look, he was a great running back those years in Chicago, and maybe the Jets underutilized him. Maybe he kind of fell out of favor there. I really haven't heard much of Matt Forte this season. You know, when you watch anything on the Jets, it's like, Bilal Powell and, you know, some of the other guys. You don't really see Forte on the field. Maybe he did fall out of favor. I really don't know the situation. I'm not really, you know, in tune with what the Jets are doing. So I don't know what the situation is there. And maybe, you know, some Jet fans out there can let me know. Here's my take on Matt Forte. See, I would be in for Calvin Johnson. I would certainly be in for that. But Matt Forte, here's the thing. I like what they have right now at the running back situation. I like the rotation they have there. You have LeGarrette Blount, the hammerback. You have Wendell Smallwood, who's been here for a few years now, knows the system. And you have a good-looking young rookie in Matt Clement. Matt Clement. Did I say Matt? Corey Clement. Clement. And I'm just blanking on the first name all of a sudden. But I like that rotation. I know they lost Darren Sproles for the season earlier, some weeks ago. You know, and that was a big loss. But you have three pretty good and capable running backs in this system. Excuse me. And, you know, adding a Matt Forte, I mean, who are you going to take out? Okay, I mean, you take out Wendell Smallwood. Is that the end of the world? Probably not. Clement's still a rookie. You replace him with a veteran. Is that the end of the world? Probably not. But I just don't. I just don't know. You know, in my humble opinion, again, I like this rotation at running back. Because they have a nice mix there. And they all have a role, it seems. They all play their role. And none of them complain about anything. There's no, oh, I need the ball, I need the ball. To me, again, this is my humble opinion, I really don't think Matt Forte has a place on this team. I understand that if they do get Matt Forte, one of his great strengths is a strength on this offense, on the West Coast offense, which is the dual ability, the run and the receiving as a running back, the pass catching ability that he has. I mean, he would be the best pass catching back that they have if they do bring him in, of the backs that they have right now. But I just don't think he's needed on this team. I really don't think there's a great spot for him. Whereas in Megatron's the situation there, I would take him on the other side of Alshon Jeffrey over Torrey Smith any day of the week. And again, I'm not trying to hate on Torrey Smith, but I'm just saying Megatron, I think, has more of a place on this team, where Matt Forte, I just don't think would have that great. Would it work out? Could he come here and make some plays and you know be a productive player? Maybe. But I like the rotation they have at running back right now. I think they all have a different, they all have their different run style. They all bring something different to the team. And I like what they all have done so far on the season. They've all made contributions to this point. And okay, you can say, well, maybe Forte comes in for Smallwood or Clement, and okay, but to me, okay, they already have their veteran back, who, oh, by the way, has won a pair of Super Bowls with New England and LeGarrette Blount. And he's been a great teammate. He's been a great player since he's been here. He hasn't complained about anything, even when he wasn't getting the ball earlier in the season. He's been a great team player, and he's been an asset for this team. And I, someone said, well, if they bring in Matt Forte, they can release, no, enough of releasing LeGarrette Blount, okay? That was something people said earlier in the season, and now, well, Matt Forte, maybe if they bring him, no, I would not release LeGarrette Blount. He's been too important a role on this team right now. He's one of their, X Factor backs so far, and I wouldn't release him for Matt Forte. Even though Matt Forte might be better in the West Coast with his pass catching ability, I just don't think that that's needed. I really don't. And I wouldn't mess with the chemistry. I don't think you're messing with the chemistry by bringing in Megatron, but I think you would be messing with the chemistry if you bring in Matt Forte. Because if Matt Forte isn't getting the ball, he's going to start complaining. And we don't need that. That's not what this team needs. Plus, I really don't know what Forte has left in the tank. I think Calvin Johnson has at least another couple seasons left in him. He didn't play all of last season. I get that this season so far, but I still think he can play at a high level in this league. I just don't know if Matt Forte can continue to play at a high level. Now, maybe if he came here with more weapons here than obviously there are on the Jets, and a better quarterback certainly, maybe that changes a little bit, but I just think it's asking for too much. And I honestly think they're well stocked at the running back position, even with the injury to the season-ending injury to Darren Sproles. I still think that they're still well stocked in the running back position where they don't have to make a move there. I think in a way it would be foolish to do that, to be honest. But if they did bring in a Megatron, I don't think it would be a foolish move because I think that's an upgrade over Torrey Smith, and I think that would also help Alshon Jeffrey out, to kind of live up to that potential a little more than he has. I'm not knocking him. I'm not hating on him. But what I'm saying is when he had that other guy in Chicago, he was a dynamic receiver. And he really doesn't have that on the other side with Torrey Smith. I mean, Nelson Aguilar's had a great season in the slot. But on the other side, it's been kind of a vacant hole there. And if they can get Megatron and kind of phase out Torrey Smith a little bit, I think that would be better. That's just my opinion. And again, I'm not hating on Torrey Smith, but I just if I had to choose between, even though he hasn't played in over a season, if I had to choose between Megatron and Torrey Smith at this point, I think I'm still going to go Megatron. Even though it might take him a couple weeks to get really acclimated into the offense, I think it won't take too long with Wentz throwing him the ball. So we'll see. Anything can happen. I agree, as a lot of Eagles Nation have said, I would like to see them, add another, left tackle, perhaps. I know they believe in Vaitai, but as a fan base, we're like, we're going up against some really tough defensive lines. Some really tough defenses. Maybe we should get a more veteran left tackle in there with the season-ending injury to Jason Peters. I can definitely see them doing that, but if I were to take a guess as to what's most likely to happen, it would be that. Maybe if they can shake loose a veteran left tackle from a team that's kind of, or maybe a left tackle that's falling out of favor and it's something with a team. I know that the guy Brown on the Texans was in that situation and Seattle got him. But will that happen? We'll have to find out tomorrow. It's kind of exciting, when you hear these names floating around, and it is. But will anything happen at all? We'll just have to wait and see what happens tomorrow on Halloween, if we have any treats in our basket. But it's exciting, and what will happen? Do I expect any great gangbuster stuff to happen? No, but with Howie Roseman, you just never know. He's Mr. Move, so I would not be shocked if anything. Even the addition of Megatron, it would not shock me at all. And oh, by the way, the last time the Eagles had I'll say it, future Hall of Famer on this team wearing number 81, that wide receiver, they were in the Super Bowl. No offense to Jason Avant. But T.O., certainly, yeah, it didn't end well. But for that season, it was as dynamic as it got, and he had a pretty darn good Super Bowl. It wasn't his fault that they lost that game. So I can certainly see a lot of 81 Johnson Eagle jerseys selling if he did come out of retirement and came to the Eagles. And again, like I said before, kind of the rehash, and I think it would be a win-win because it's not a rental player, and the fact that, hey, if he gets more out of Alshon Jeffrey the rest of the season, awesome, right? We already have 19 touchdowns by our quarterback. Can you imagine, having Megatron on one side and Alshon, playing at his potential on the other? Boy, that would be dangerous. Even Dallas fans would start to shake then. Oh, oh no, they got another weapon. Oh no. How are we going to deal with it now? Oh, they should be afraid. Oh, they should. This defensive line, it should scare them. I know they're all dacked up, but hasn't gone up against this defensive line yet this season. Oh, he'll meet them though. He will. They'll see them. Zeke too, if he's still playing. We'll see them. No, be sure to introduce themselves to them this season. Don't you worry, Dallas fans. It's coming. It's coming like a storm. It's coming. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for this kind of impromptu video, but Season of the Fan continues. The 2017-18 Philadelphia Eagles 7-1. Boy, it still feels good to say that. 7-1. Woo! Chance to go to 8-1 possibly. Denver's offense does not look good. I'm watching this game. Oh boy. It's going to be a defensive battle, but it should be a very interesting game on Sunday at 1 o'clock at Lincoln Financial Field. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for watching. As always, let's go Birds. Let's see what Howie does tomorrow, if anything. And we can't be disappointed if he doesn't, because the team's still 7-1 and they're looking really good. But if they do make some moves to help strengthen some of the positions on this team, I don't think it's a bad thing. I really don't. All right, like I said, I really wouldn't go after running back too much. But aside from that, if they get Megatron or if they get a veteran left tackle, awesome. And if they don't, awesome. We're still 7-1. All right, everyone, take care. Let's go Birds as always. I'll see you in the next vid.